Carol Mazhuvancheril, welcome to Token Theater Friends. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. How's your week going? Like this is what are you in the second or third week of the run of your play by now?
Yeah, this is the second weekend of the shows. So this weekend we started yesterday. Yesterday was the first show of this weekend. And I have a show tonight, and then I have a show on Saturday.
Wonderful. So I always jump ahead of myself. So can you tell us what your show Song of Joy is about?
Yes. So yeah, my name is Carol Mazhuvancheril, and my show, Song of Joy, is an autobiographical play about my life so far that is centered around immigrating through. I grew up I was born in India, and I grew up between India, Austria, Switzerland, and then when my family moved or immigrated to Dallas, Texas, when I was 12. So it's a story about immigrating and what that feels like for an individual and their family, and how I've come to identify home and how I've come to identify as myself and who I am today. Yeah, and so by telling that story, I'm also sort of kind of showing like the toll it takes on a family as well, and how much my parents, both my mom and my dad, have sacrificed in order to better their families, and those are the sub. Is it the subplot? I don't know. Like that's the other story that's also in my story, because as we all know, like we are all people. Nobody is just here for themselves. They're all from someone, and so I am from my parents, and so my story is very much related to their story, and that's also part of the play.
I love that you used the word subplot because you're the playwright here. I'm a journalist, but you're predominantly an actor. So what is it like for you to see your life in play form? I mean, obviously you wrote it, so what's that like, and how is it different from, say, when you're doing Kit Hamill's plays, or when you're doing work by someone else? How do you access the Carol in Song of Joy as opposed to like a character in a play?
Yeah. I think, you know what? It's so much more fun to be in a Kate Hamill play. Let's just start off there, okay? It is really, really hard to be in my own play where I play myself. And not just myself, like my parents and these dramatic moments in my life, as well as like the funny parts of my life. But it is. I do think it's definitely harder. Like I think I would joke with the director, like it was like pulling teeth to get me to act. And I'm an actor. I love acting, but it's so hard. It was really challenging to play these scenes that I wrote from my life, and then to go through a rehearsal for like, oh, now we have to do them. Like I would spend so much time just talking about the day, like, hey Nick, what's going on with, you know what I mean, like just kill time, because there's so much resistance, because it's so hard, it's so vulnerable, and that work is really difficult to do. But then, which brings me to the other point, which is that it is also so rewarding. I think it's more, as an artist, I feel truly feels rewarding to do this kind of a play where I'm taking this big risk. I'm taking this, it's so vulnerable. I feel so, I feel so vulnerable doing it. And in doing so, and then sharing it, and then knowing that the audience is receiving me in this very intimate way feels so rewarding and so nourishing to me. And I don't think I've had that experience being an actor in a play. So as an artist, this is really great, but as an actor, it's just fun to be in a play. Don't do your own work, just be in a play.
I love that. So I don't think I'm ever gonna act, because I mean, I don't know how you do it. Like I don't know how you get to be on a stage and not just like collapse. But I hope you don't mind me saying this, but your play is so full of love.
Yeah.
And it is like a love letter to the people in your life. And it's a love letter to your life. And I guess like my question is like, uh, what was it like for you to write it? Like how did you realize that it was turning into the play that you are now performing in and that you're doing every night for a bunch of strangers?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean the play, like the play itself started very unconsciously. Because I went to Brooklyn College for my MFA in acting, and the program head is Judy Lee, and she has this thing at the end of the 2 years, like at the final semester, we develop a little solo piece. And these solo pieces are things you write yourself. So she asks you to bring in photographs and all these things, and we use sense memory and all these things, and we just keep writing throughout the class. And so all these things that I was writing were all these people that I love very much, and they are my parents, they are my grandparents, they're my sister, like all these people in my life. And so like that, like these little individual stories is what I had in the beginning. And then over the pandemic, I sort of looked at them again, and then I've made them into connected them more, and made them into a show. It's not my first time that I've like written or like made theater per se, but it's definitely the first time that I've made one officially, if that's a thing. Like where it's like produced at a theater and like people come to go see it. I do little plays at my church growing up, and like that's my experience with theater. Was doing that. So like that, the idea of making something is familiar to me, but this a way of like putting my own stories and drafting it into a play and or structuring it into a play, and thinking about how the audience will perceive if in the order in which it is said, and things like that. Was very new, and yeah, it was exciting making it. Like the writing part of it was exciting. It's just the rehearsal part of it that was just like, oh, now people are going to come see this. Oh, okay, that was challenging. It's still challenging, but yeah, I think I'm getting more used to it, or hopefully I'm getting used to it. Yeah.
I always like. I mean, maybe I'm just like making up how actors' brains work. Maybe it's not like this at all. But I wonder, like, how does, if this is the case, what did Carol, the writer, learn about Carol, the actor, and Carol, just like the regular human being, while writing the play? Or is that not something that happens? Are you just like, I'm just one person, I can't divide myself out of it?
No, I think that's a very interesting question, because yeah, there's so much I've learned about myself by writing the play. That's for sure. One thing for right off the bat is like, I mean, like I know that I love my parents, but writing the piece have allowed me to love them in a way that is so. I feel like it's like deepened that love, because I'm being forced to sort of like think about their perspective and what was going on for them, and seeing them really as human beings, and not just as my parents and like what I'm owed from them or whatever. Like I feel like we oftentimes takes our relationships in every way sometimes for granted, because like, yeah, well, of course they're my dad, they're my mom, they're my family, they're not going to go anywhere, but by writing the piece, I'm like, oh wow, like these are real people with really working against something here or working for something here, and what is that, and now I just have so much admiration and love for them, that I've always had, but I think it's like it's deepened it in a way that I wasn't expecting, I guess. And then also like I learn about myself. I realize, oh, where do I come from, and what have I experienced growing up, and where am I today, and then I feel a sense of ownership for myself, and this new sense of even self-worth that I didn't have before, which is also really beautiful, and unexpected.
I felt almost like it was this beautiful snow globe of a play where now you have Song of Joy and you can look at it and you can read it whenever you want. And it's this incredibly moving way of you capturing all these people that you love. And do you have any plans to do more plays in order? Because it must be like a surreal way to preserve love, right? And things that you love and moments that you cherish for all of eternity.
Yeah, for sure. I think, a part of it also was to, like you said, preserve. I'm always like wondering about like how, I don't know, how people might receive me or whatever. So this was also in a, I think in a way to capture my own humanity. Like a lot of the plays about like seeing me, you know, seeing me for who I am and accepting me for who I am, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, for sure. And I think so. And I think like even because we had a smaller workshop production of this piece that we did in a year ago, a little over a year ago, maybe. So it was like the December of 2022. No, 21. I don't know. Anyway, it was like a while ago. It was a year ago, okay? And it was just 4 performances. And so then we, you know, the Tank invited us to, you know, to do the play as part of their 4 productions this spring and give us a run. And so then so now working on it since that time, the previous workshop production, I already felt like, okay, like here are some changes that I want to make because I myself have grown, or, you know, we grow so quickly. So it's like, because it's such a personal piece, there were some pieces that I'm like, I don't know if this is like resonating with me anymore. And then so like then having to like rewrite that section or finding why it was in there in the first place, you know, because sometimes there's like, I don't know why this was here, but it was so relevant to me a year ago, but now it doesn't feel relevant. And then having somebody else be like, I think you can't cut it because it's part of, you know what I mean? And then you like find the reason why it's there again, because you have outgrown it or you've moved past it, but it still needs to be there because it's still part of the story, you know? Yeah, so that's also interesting. So yeah, I think so. I think it would be interesting. I don't think I'm not interested in doing it again. You know what I mean? Like I think it would be interesting to do it again in a few years' time and to see like, oh, where am I then? And then how does this story affect me at that time? And then how would I tell it now? And see. Even doing the run of the show, I'm always like, well, you know, this scene can go actually here, and this scene can get cut, you know. But I'm doing the show, you know what I mean? So I think that the writer brain, I don't know how to like. I should probably turn it off and be a better actor, but like I can't because it's my story and it's about me and I'm doing it. So I'm like, I don't think the audience cares about this scene, and I think it's because of this, and this reason, you know. Yeah.
There were so many moments in the play that spoke to me almost like you had taken something from my life. And have you figured out math yet? I mean, I felt that moment. I don't want to spoil it, but I was like, I felt that moment so bad, you know, like so much. I was like, I never got, I don't, I mean, I know how to multiply, but like you in the play, I was like, I don't, like, why? Why is math? So
Yeah.
why is math, Carol?
Yeah. You know what I think it is? I think I don't think I'm actually bad at math. You know, I'm actually quite logical. I'm a very logical person. And if we're sharing like moon signs or whatever, like I'm a Virgo moon. Okay. And so that reflects in my like the way that I organize things for myself. And I'm pretty good at math. What happened is I had this a not so great experience with my dad, where he was really adamant that I learn math or like learn the times table when I was a kid. That sort of put me off of it, I think. And then so now it's like it just kind of creates like this like, oh, like numbers and math, like I don't know, and I just sort of like dismiss it now. However, like listen, I am an adult. I pay my bills. I can count when it matters. I can multiply. I can divide. And if not, my phone will help me, you know? So I think we're fine, Jose. I think we're good.
Basically, math, it doesn't get better, right?
It doesn't get better.
You know, and you asked earlier, by the way, Taurus moon. I don't know what that means about me. So
yes. Okay. Taurus.
yeah, but you're a Beyonce moon, basically, right?
Yes, Beyonce moon. Yeah. So that's good.
That sounds fabulous. And I mean, we have a new moon coming. Is it today or tomorrow? Like, I don't want to turn this into like the astrology,
The astrology.
show, but I mean, but I love astrology. So if you know something about what I should be doing and what we all should be doing because of the new moon and me and Taurus, please let me know. Like, I'm really fascinated.
Oh, that's so funny because like I don't know anything about astrology, but I will be the first one to bring it up. I know my moon and my sun, and I know like who I'm supposed to be most compatible with, and that's all I know. That's all that matters to me. And so I'm just like, I'll bring it up, and like you said, there's a new moon. I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know. Yeah, I just know about my moon and my sun. Oh my
Again, we
God.
have phones. I'm sure I can just like
Yes,
go in like
cool.
ChattyNicholas.com and just like figure it out. So another moment that I was like, okay, Carol, have you been like inceptioning my brain was the moment when now I feel like I'm spoiling your show.
No,
But
please.
there's a My Heart Will Go On reference. And that song, I saw it play last night. I saw Edward Lewis's Who Killed My Father, directed by Thomas Ostermeyer here in Madrid. And there
Uh-huh.
was also a My Heart Will Go On
Oh,
moment. So maybe I'm just asking you all these questions as if you have the answers. I feel like you have the answers. What is it about that song that, I mean, if I go every night in my dreams,
yeah.
you'll know where, like, what is it about that song you think that has this power, this hold over us? Like yesterday,
Yeah.
I was feeling my Celine deep
Yeah.
inside, although I wish I could sing even, I don't know, like half or like a third or quarter as good as she can. But what is it about this song you think that has this hold on us?
You know, yeah, this is a great question. I mean, I don't know. You know what? I think in the context of my play, it's very specific in that um, Titanic was a big deal. I think Titanic might have been the first, or for many people who are my age, the first American movie that they went to go see in a theater. Because Indian people, we live in communities and we sort of when you're kids, your parents are immigrants, so they like, English is a second language, and it takes them more effort to understand what's happening in an English movie, right? So they're going to watch. I grew up watching Malayalam movies because that's where I'm from, and that's the language that I speak, and that's what my parents speak, and so we watch Malayalam movies growing up. And so watching an English movie was like very foreign to us. However, I remember being in Austria, and all of my parents' friends were like, "You have to go out to see Titanic. It's so good." Everybody was obsessed. And my parents dressed us up and we went to the movie theater for the very first time in our lives. And we went and we stood in line to go see Titanic. This was like maybe 2 months after it had already come out. And we stood in line, we went to the thing, and the person who was selling the tickets were like, the movie is rated R. And so like, with children, you want to be something along, but they're speaking in German. So my parents, I think, were like, oh, the kids can't see it, or like, oh no, it's too scary for them, or like they're not allowed or something. So they didn't buy the tickets. And I remember that day being so disappointed because we had dressed up. We were going to go see a movie for the first time in a theater in Austria, like, and we didn't, because we watch movies through, we rent cassettes from the Indian store of Indian films, and then that's how we watched them back then. And so that song was always playing on the trailer whenever the television was on and all these things. And so that song was very much a part of our culture. And I think all the Indian people who did go see that movie, that song was like, yes, because it was like a communal experience that everybody had together. People would sing it at like Holy Communions, baptisms, like everybody was singing it, My kid knows an English song and the song will be My Heart Will Go On. Like that was the thing. So I think like that's what it is. Like that song is it takes us, or it takes me, and I'm sure my generation, to a very specific memory of childhood, like a very defining moment of like culture in our childhood, of experiencing this movie as well as this song. Yeah, I think that's why.
How many times have you seen Titanic since that time where you couldn't see it though?
I have seen it so many times. I love that movie. Okay, I don't care. I don't care if it's not like some masterpiece. To me, it is a masterpiece. It is so good, so good. Sometimes I feel like I could do like a one man show of Ruth. Like Kate Winslet's mom in the show. It would just be like her experience of the Titanic, and she'll say things like, "Our memories scattered to the winds." Just like her lines in that movie. Oh my God. I watch it for her, honestly. She's like, what world is she living on? It's so incredible.
I realized that I'm slowly hitting that age when the other day I saw the trailer for the 25th anniversary Titanic.
Yeah.
And can you believe that?
Yeah. I was like, what? 25 years? But you know what I do remember? Like, wait, remember, was it the 15th, maybe? Or was it?
Maybe.
Was it the 15th anniversary that they also released the movie again? Or was it the 20th? Yeah, it was the 15th, right? It was in 3D and it came on theaters all over the world. I think so. I remember like being in Lubbock, Texas, and that being happening. And I like literally relived my childhood. I was like, I'm going to go see this movie in theaters. And I dragged a friend and we went to go see it in theaters. But no, it's crazy. It's 25 years. Wow.
And I love that they're doing it like Valentine's Day weekend. So like I'm single, so I already told my friend we're going. I'm like,
Going.
we're
Yeah,
going out together.
I think they did it the same time for the last anniversary screening was, I think it was also for Valentine's Day. I have a feeling. I think so.
Why did they do this? It's so sad. Like this movie's so sad.
No, I know, but it's also so lovely. So good.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I would totally go root for your Ruth show when it happens. So like count me in.
Thank you. It'll be called Ruth. Are the lifeboats seated according to class? Ruth for short.
Cannot wait to see you wearing that for a hat. So in the play, in your play, like let's stop talking about James Cameron for a second. Like, you know, he has enough attention. In your play, it's so interesting to see how much pop culture comes into play in the play. So can you talk a little bit about that? You know, like was it surprising for you to realize, hey, I never knew how much this song or this movie or this, you know, thing had meant to me until now I'm talking about it every night on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, like that is, yeah, I'm surprised by that, like how much or like these key moments of pop culture that has really affected me. One of them being I assume you're talking about like Black Swan. Yeah. Yeah, that movie, my God. I mean, you know, like it is such a like horrific film. It's about, you know, like Natalie Portman dies at the end. But I could care less. I was like, what is this? What are they doing? This is called ballet. I must have it. It was so, to me, it was my first time experiencing ballet. I was so, I can't even like put it to words how beautiful I thought it was. Like even the idea, I know it's like in the movie, it's about like the idea of perfection kills her, but I'm like, I love it. I'm like, there are these people in this world that are dancers and their literal job is to be the perfect, like that's what they're striving towards, like the perfect technique, the perfect, like it is amazing. And then like they decide to become a dancer like at such a young age. You know, it's like they're like 10 years and they're like, yeah, I'm going to be a ballerina or I'm going to be a dancer. And like, that's what they do with life. And then they retire early because their body gives up. It is like, it is tragic and so beautiful at the same time. I don't know if there's any art form that is like, that lives on that level, you know? It's so stunning. Anyway, so like Black Swan was my introduction to that world. And I have been a fan since then.
But it was perfect.
It was perfect.
Yeah, that's me doing the last scene.
Yeah.
So
like,
sorry if you haven't seen Black Swan, maybe don't watch this part. I love that you also include Black Swan because this has nothing to do with anything. This has nothing to do with you even, but this is meat trivia, but actually Titanic and Black Swan happen to be the movies that I've watched at the movie theater the most times, 8 times each. So I was like,
wow. Oh, okay. So we're on the same.
Obsessed.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. When do you get back from Madrid? We are catching up.
And when you do a Black Swan inspired show, let me know. I can do the part of what's his name? To Vincent Cassell, like attack.
I mean, have you seen the great SNL sketch based on that movie?
No, I don't think I have. Now I know what I'm doing later today.
It's so good. I think, oh my God, what's his face? Oh my God, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey plays the Swan. So good.
I remember that. So okay, so let's come back to your play. And I know, no, it's fine. I mean, I can talk about Black Swan, Titanic forever, but like this is about you. Obviously, you can't control how people react and what people think of your show. But your show is like really beautiful. That I'm sure, I'm 100% positive that there's going to be people who are going to one day be referencing, maybe Son of Joy in a play that they made themselves. So do you ever think about that or not? And if so, like, I don't know, like, I don't even know if I have a question here, but I kept thinking, like, it's beautiful that you're celebrating the things you love, because someone will celebrate your work as well at some point.
Yeah, I've never thought about that. I'm like, what? No, yeah, no, I don't think so. It's really hard for me to see it outside of what it is now. The most I can see is like, yeah, where else can I like tailor this play, and what else can I make? Where else can I make adjustments? And if I do it again in a few years, like, what would I change about it? Like, those are things that I can see, but I can't see it as like as some sort of work that people might think about or talk about or any of that, because it's my life. So it's too personal for me to think about it as like here's a play, because I see it as like, here's me, and I'm going to tell you about me today with you in the space, and that's what it is. So it's really hard for me to see it as it's really hard for me to see it as a play, even to talk about it as a play, because it's not a play. It is a play, but it's also about my life. I don't know.
So I won't ask about who your dream cast to play you in a few years will be. You're like Natalie Portman.
Yeah, Natalie Portman for sure.
Something also that I really love about the play is how open you are about, anxiety, and like how open you are about mental health. And as an actor, do you have any rituals or any tools or any practices that you don't, like, you don't have to recommend or suggest, but are there any practices that maybe, something that your play does beautifully is remind us that what's out there can help someone? Like, reading your play, for instance, made me feel less alone. And I think that is the effect that art has on people. So for people out there who might, find your suggestions or rituals or advice helpful, do you have any that you don't mind sharing?
I mean, I'm also still figuring it out, how to manage my anxiety. I don't have like, it's a journey, it's like an ongoing process. But I mean, I go to therapy. I go to like, and figure out like where it's coming from, when it's the most activated, and how can I navigate that, and how can I overthink less, and all of these things. And I guess like what I'm learning, or what's something that's like seems to be working the most, is just taking time and breathing, which is like really hard for me. Which is also the number one thing you should do as an actor. But it's so hard. It's so hard to just breathe and take time. And like, even like speaking, right? Like, even speaking, it's so hard for me not to use filler words or use ums, and be comfortable in myself to just like, let me collect my thoughts and think about these things. And once I have them, I will say them, because that means I'm going to take up space. And it's really hard to take up space. And that's like, why is it hard to take up space? Like, like, there's like, come see the show. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's like there's reasons for all these things. And then it's like, your adult self is learning how to cope with that, and then like, how do you navigate that, and blah blah blah. And I haven't figured it out, but I think breathing and which in doing so, being more comfortable to take up space, I think is really helpful for me.
Carol, thank you so much for making me feel less alone with your beautiful play. Would you like to, of course, like, would you like to invite our viewers and our listeners to come see Song of Joy?
Yes, please come see Song of Joy. It's running at the Tank in Midtown, NYC. Our following weekend performances are the Thursday, 26th, 27th Friday, 28th Saturday. There's 2 shows, a 2 p.m. and a 7 p.m. And then the final performance, closing night, will be on the 29th, which is a Sunday at 3 p.m. So those are the show times. I hope to see you all there. And yeah, thank you.